Hi guys, welcome to a brand new episode. Now you joined me today in the butternut squash patch for today's episode. Fancied a change of scenery and it's far too hot to be sat in the shed. So today's episode is going to be the most requested kind of episode. I get messages about it all the time, and it's going to be an allotment plot tour today. So today I will be showing you all around the allotment, how it's changed in the last month. The last plot tour was back in June, so it has changed quite substantially. If you can remember this particular patch, the plants were tiny. So what I'm going to do as well is I am going to put some comparison photos in as we go around the plot, so you can see what it looked like just a month ago and how it looks now. I think you'll be quite surprised about some of it. Now here in Norfolk we have had a lot of rain. I haven't been able to get up to the plot as much as I would have liked. It just seemed to be relentless at one point. I mean, it's great because everything has really grown and it's really impressive. However, it has stopped me doing as much weeding as I'd like, and with the more rain comes the more weeds. I can show you very glamorous thistle sat right in front of me there. So there are a fair few weeds on the plot. Aside from that, I'm really happy with how it's gone this year. I'm getting to the point now where I'm getting harvests. I'm taking potatoes home, courgettes home every day. I'm taking cut flowers home, calendula, sweet peas, dahlias, cornflowers, the list goes on. So overall I am really happy with how the plot has come along. I just wish the weeds weren't quite so bad. So what we're going to do is I will take you obviously on a plot tour. We'll have a walk around, I'll show you how everything's getting on, and then we will wrap up at the end. Like I say, any comments, well, there will be questions as I go along. I have got some very peculiar behaving courgette plants this year, very random. Obviously I'll explain when we get to them, but really weird, that's all I'm going to say. But any comments, any questions, always ask. They're always appreciated, and I'm always open for new ideas. So we may as well just get on with the plot tour while the weather is pretty good. I was up here at around 7:30 this morning to get the watering done before the sun came up. It was too late last night by the time my other half got home from work, and we'd had tea and we were just feeling a bit lazy. So yeah, I've been up here now for a couple of hours. It's about 9:30. So yeah, the watering is done. It's not raining, the weather's good. So any wet patches luckily on this occasion aren't rain. So yeah, let's get on with the allotment tour and see what you guys think. Okay, so I've decided to start the tour at the opposite end of the allotment to last month's tour, just so you can see it from a different perspective. So here are my flower patches, which are obviously looking a lot more full. The pear tree also has lots of little pears growing on, which is quite exciting. So I've got my other flower patch there. That was mainly poppies, which have now finished and gone over, so that area now needs a good weed. And then this is my patch with my lavender, sunflowers, nasturtiums and bits that I grew from seed at home. So that's looking quite good as well. You'll notice that since the last video there are little signs now around the allotment differentiating between the areas, so they can move every year when the crop rotation happens. They're not in the ground really deeply, so like I say, we can move them as we go. So this is the pea and bean area of the allotment. There is the strawberry patch here as well, but that's pretty weedy now. The strawberries are finished, so that's going to be one of the next jobs, just to make sure we get that weeded. So first of all, we have the purple peas and beans that I think in the last video were really tiny. As you can see, they are growing well. definitely purple, and around the other side you will be able to see that I have actually got my first purple peas. They are on their way, so that's pretty exciting. Okay, so also sweet peas, obviously not edible but smell amazing. Just make sure you pick them frequently so they keep producing flowers. Also got some cosmos down here, and then we go on to the main bean area now. These are cobra and Selma zebra beans sort of intertwined. They are absolutely enormous. They've nearly ripped down this structure. Definitely a learning tip for next year. Build a much bigger structure for those varieties of beans. Now down at the front here we've got dwarf bolotis. Just try and not put my hand in front of the camera. So as you can see here, there's dwarf bolotti beans. I have picked some already, but there's obviously more coming. And there's also yellow dwarf French beans by the ton. There's loads in there, so plenty of picking to be done there. So I'll keep on going. Got some lovely gladioli out now. They've decided to flower. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen them in full bloom. They really were quite spectacular. Okay, so I've got a couple more climbing beans around the edge of here. This did have petit pois in the last video. They've finished, they've gone over. So I've now, in their place, planted some sweet bell turnip seeds. They've already come up and they were only planted a few days ago, so that's pretty impressive, but they're well on their way. I've got more lettuce here. I have taken out most of the peas now. They're pretty much done, and the lettuce, as you can see, is starting to go to flower. I have been picking it, but I'm just not picking it quickly enough. So if we continue on, we now get to my favourite part of the allotment, my 5 parsnips which I've grown. I'm so very pleased with. And my beetroot, which is a little weed ridden now. I've picked a lot of the beetroot, made beetroot cakes and jars of pickled beetroot and things like that. So it's looking a bit sparse, but there is still plenty left. So next up is the carrots. So on the left side we've got some heritage carrots, and on the right small chantenay carrots. Like I say, as we go I will try and put up some comparison pictures from last month, just so you can see the difference in the growth. Now moving on to the onions, which have absolutely ballooned in size since the last video. I mean, this red onion, for example, compared to my hand, it's huge. So yeah, really happy. Some of them are starting to die back now, look, the white ones particularly. So I imagine they'll be ready to pull up anytime soon. Now moving on to what I call the pumpkin patch, which weirdly has no pumpkins on it. This is, I'm going to step back, my patch with butternut squash, spaghetti squash, courgettes, harlequin squash and scallop baby bush squash, which you'll have seen me plant in another video. Now I'll give you a quick look at some of them. So this is a harlequin squash. As you can see, there are some squashes growing in there. These weren't planted that long ago, so I'm absolutely amazed at how quickly they have taken off. This huge area here is all butternut squash, and there are a fair few on there. Let me just see if I can find one without treading on anything. An unusual shaped one there. Oh, there's a little one there. As obviously you get nearer to the beginning of the plant, the bigger they get. Last year I planted 5 plants and got 20 squashes, so I'm hoping for similar this year. These are my spaghetti squash. I'm not sure there's anything on those yet. Again, they were planted a lot later than the butternut, but I'm sure they will catch up. Here are my 2 baby scallop squashes. Now, I've never grown these before either. Oh, there is a squash under there. You can see that just starting to form. So this variety and the Harlequin variety, which I've just shown you, are bush varieties of squash. So they shouldn't trail. They're very much like a courgette in that the plant will get quite big, but they shouldn't trail and take up loads of space in that kind of area. So that's why I planted those at either end, just so they didn't take up too much room. Now, I'm having a bit of an issue with my courgettes, but only some of them. 2 of them, this one and the one on the opposite side in exactly the same place, is doing really well. It's producing lots of courgettes. Really, really happy. However, the one next to it, and again the same directly opposite, aren't happy at all. I have taken courgettes from them. They've had 1 or 2 and they've stopped. I have weeded around them. I have given them a seaweed feed. I've given them extra nutrients. This area before the courgettes were put in actually had a whole tub of chicken manure pellets, so I know that the area isn't deprived of nutrients. We didn't grow squashes on this area last year, so I don't understand what is wrong. The watering is all regular, well obviously because the others, as you can see, are doing absolutely fine, as is everything else. So I can't understand why this one and, like I say, the one directly opposite is having an issue. So if anyone's got any ideas, feel free to drop it in the comments and let me know. I mean, the courgettes that came off them taste absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but at the moment they're just not producing at all. And as you can see, the leaves have gone from a really dark green to a really light green. So maybe a deficiency in something. But like I say, at the beginning of the season they were planted with chicken manure, and I have been feeding them seaweed feed once a week, aside from my regular watering. So yeah, any help, much appreciated. Okay, so moving on, the last video, this fruit cage was not here. Our neighbour next door gave the fruit cage to us because she didn't need it anymore, and basically it needed some repairs. So we've managed to do the repairs and get it up. So yeah, really, really happy. The rhubarb is huge. It's taken over the fruit cage. So we're just going to leave it for this year and then have a go next year. Some flowers here. I'm going to have to mind that I don't step over too many or on too many butternut squashes. More gladioli there, looking lovely, really, really pretty. And then we move on to the sweet corn. So there's around 20 plants here in a square block. Always plant your sweet corn in a square block as they're wind pollinated. So basically the pollen needs to blow between the plants to then pollinate each other. So always try and plant them in a square where you can. So these are my pumpkins. These are jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. Surprisingly, there are only 3 plants in this area, and they are already a little bit out of control. There are pumpkins on the plants. If I can just get in. There's one there, another one there, just to show you. And there's plenty of pumpkins in there. So now we're coming up to my favourite part of the plot, and that's my archway. Sunflowers everywhere. Those are the self-seeded sunflowers that I said I wasn't going to move, and I am so glad I didn't. They look absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so we've got dahlias here. There's dahlias all the way down, so I'll try and give you a good look at them. These are the chappy little pumpkins. They've nearly reached the curve in the archway. They're almost there, and there are little tiny pumpkins starting to form. Yeah, I'm really excited. I can't wait to see them. I have found though that everything on this side, on the archways, everything was duplicated. So if there were 3 plants here, which there were 3 plants here. However, this side, on everything, every aspect, hasn't grown as well as this side. Whether it's because they're getting more sunlight, more water, or the sunflowers are blocking out basically what the other side needs, I'm not sure. I have had to cut a few leaves off the sunflowers because it got to the point where I couldn't actually get down the archway, down the path, sorry, anymore. But yeah, so I'm not sure about that either. Lots of things I'm not sure about. So cosmos, cosmos bush now. Can't wait till that's fully in flower. More dahlias. My cucamelons, they are there. They are still alive, but they're not growing at a rate I would have hoped. So I will wait and see. I've never grown them before, but hopefully I will get at least a couple. These are my runner beans. Again, they're doing okay. Nothing wrong with those at all. You can see the beans now forming on there. But obviously, like I said, this side is doing substantially better. Very odd indeed. There's more dahlias here. Really, really pretty dahlias. I love dahlias, if you can't already tell. Big dahlia fan. Okay, so we'll keep going. More sunflowers. These ones are actually way taller than me. These have got to be over 6 foot. I'm 5'8", and it towers over me. So yeah, must be at least 6 foot. Cornflowers are still going well. I've had to tie them back now because they'd fallen onto the pathway, but that's okay. Another sunflower. And here is the curry squash. Now this one is doing really, really well. We're now all the way up to the top of the archway, and we've got several squash, all ranging in size from really, really tiny to actually getting quite sizable. So yeah, really, really pleased with those. And again, on the other side, I mean, it must be the sunflowers. I'm blaming them anyway. As you can see, there's another squash right down there, which is a lot bigger. Some chamomile and scabious there. This is obviously just still our grassy patch. Haven't done anything to that recently. And the potatoes, which are now really weedy. I really need to sort those out. They are starting to die back now, and we have dug some up, which is great, and they have been really good. You can see in my last video, the Charlottes in particular were lovely. Patch of Swiss chard here, just a small patch this year. My leeks only went in a couple of weeks ago. As you can see, the ground's wet because I've done my early morning watering. But yeah, I'm really pleased with those archways. I'm really proud of those. They're looking great. Okay, so moving on to my brassicas. I've got here cauliflower and broccoli, and the broccoli is starting to form now. The cauliflower's a bit behind, it's not quite there. The broccoli is well on its way. I know I keep saying that, but it's very exciting this time of year. These are my swede. I had to plant them under cover. Last year I didn't, and unfortunately I came back one day and they were absolutely covered in caterpillars, and I didn't get a single swede last year. So I've protected them this year, and I'm hoping for the best. I've then got my curly kale, and I've got pak choi on the other side of that, but that's also gone to seed, so I need to take those out. They just grew too quickly. I couldn't believe how quickly they grew. I've got iceberg lettuce there, just a little patch of lettuce, And these are my cabbages and my Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts running down the centre, and there's cabbages on either side. They are green marble Brussels sprouts and greyhound cabbages. So all in all, everything is growing really well. I'm really happy with the plot. There are a lot of weeds. Everything is growing really, really quickly, and like I say, that does include the weeds. So all I'm going to do now, before we finish, is take you to the polytunnel. Okay, so here we are back to the herb garden. I have been regularly cutting and picking herbs this year and drying them out in the shed, so that's been really beneficial, and they're growing really, really well. My nasturtiums now are up and out of the pot. I think last month they were 2 little tiny shoots, but yep, really, really pleased. They're going well. We'll talk about the peppers in a second. I just want to show you the grapevine first, as I did last month. There are grapes galore. I mean, there's a bunch hanging right above my head. Oh, there's another bunch hanging right above my head. There's several bunches there. It's just really, really good. I've never grown grapes before, so it's a whole new experience, and I find it really, really exciting. So pumpkins, peppers are doing well. As you can see, the Black Knight variety have black peppers on, ready to pick pretty much. The other varieties are growing well. Each one's got multiple peppers on. We're big pepper lovers, so it's always good when we've got that many peppers. The chilies are doing really well as well. They are now going red. Several chilies on most of the plants now. That one in the back corner is doing really well. Must be a dozen chilies on there. Aubergines. I still haven't got an aubergine. I have hand pollinated. I've used a paintbrush. There are bumblebees in here constantly, so I'm really, really stumped as to why I haven't got a single aubergine. I don't know. The beans at the back there, they are going to come out. They are a total write-off. Nothing has come of them at all. Tomatoes are huge, and we have tomatoes now. They are there. They are happy. Lots of them. I'm just waiting to see which ones turn yellow and which ones turn red. So that's pretty exciting as well. The little pots are still doing well. Little tiny peppers on there. They are mini peppers, so the peppers shouldn't be huge in size. My fig tree's having a bit of a disaster though. It has got figs on it, but the leaves have dropped off. So I'm going to do a bit of research into what I need to do to take care of that better. Like I say, if anyone's got any tips on that either, please let me know. My melon / courgette plant is definitely still happy and growing courgettes galore. Not melons, but hey ho. Well, that is pretty much it for the polytunnel. Okay, so that is the tour done. Now you're gonna have to excuse me squinting. The sun seems to be in my eyes no matter which way I put the camera. So I thought I'd sit right next to this dahlia. I thought that'd be a nice spot. Anyway, I hope you liked the tour. Like I said, I am pretty proud of the allotment. It's been a challenging year anyway with lockdown and everything like that. Work has been pretty intense. So yeah, overall, I'm really pleased with what I've got done in the time that I've had up here this year. Any comments or suggestions about the rogue courgettes would be appreciated, because I am clueless. I do not understand why half are fine and half aren't. There's 4 plants, 2 are great, 2 are not great. They're 12 to 18 inches apart. They've been watered the same, fed the same, all the same nutrients, so I absolutely don't get it. So if anyone's got any ideas, then let me know, because yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I'm now going to head home. The sun's coming out. It is really, really warm. and I'm going to actually go and spend the afternoon doing some work in my garden because I haven't had much time out there lately, and to be honest that needs a bit of TLC as well. So I'm going to leave the episode here. I hope you enjoyed the tour. As always, if you did like it, please give the video a like. I always appreciate your comments, and if you'd like to see more, then please feel free to subscribe as well. I will leave my details here for those of you who use Facebook and Instagram, so you can follow me there. I do post daily on both of those, so you'll be able to see much more of the allotment. But for now, I hope you all have a lovely week, and I will see you all in the next episode.